Right, so let's start from here because the NPP says it will mount pressure on government to retrieve the 51.2 million judgment debt. Now, they are claiming that that money has now become 130 million cedis. That's according to the NPP. Now, the communications director of the party was addressing the media in Accra.
The NPP recalled and described the payments made to Alfred Woyome as a sham and misuse of taxpayers' money. It also supported the ruling by Justice Ajetena Sam that the prosecution did a shoddy job. The NPP is therefore asking government to provide answers on why the AG failed to request the contract before issuing those monies to Woyome.
He said he did the work in 2007. Why did he not go to court until 2010? 3-4 years after. Why? When the Attorney General received the petition from Woyome, why didn't the Attorney General contact members of the previous government? Now, why didn't she also ask for a contract? Now, when Woyome went to court, because there was a delay in the payment, why didn't the Attorney General of Ghana go to defend the state of Ghana? So that the state of Ghana was slapped with 105.5 million Ghana cedis in favor of Mr. Woyome.
The leadership is therefore calling on Ghanaians to fight and demand for the payments of those monies at the current exchange rate.
We're calling on Ghanaians to stand up and demand that the government retrieves our monies for us. The 51.2 million in 2010-2011 today is worth about 130 million Ghana cedis.
The NPP is also asking government to prosecute state officials who were involved in making payments to Alfred Woyome.
Ghanaians should demand the prosecution of all government and public officials who facilitated this fraud, this mistake.
So let's join the national organizer of the NDC, Mr. Kofi Adams, on phone. Mr. Kofi Adams, grateful to have you tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity, and good evening to your viewers.
Let me start this way. The NPP is alleging that what is happening, the letter written by Mr. Woyome about the AG's involvement, the case going to court and all that is only a sham, and that the NDC is involved in all this. How would you react to this?
First and foremost, that is false. That is not correct. That is a palpable lie, and that it must be made very clear that institutional challenges that affect the country and that affects us as a state should never be blamed on any one political party. The fact that the Attorney General's Department have either failed to win a case in court does not mean that the NDC as a political party and as a government is not doing well. The people who have been in charge of prosecution in that department have outlived the NDC, they have outlived the NPP, and even some of them have been there before the commencement of the Fourth Republican Constitution. Let's all collectively fight for strengthening of state institutions. As for Alfred Woyome, his involvement in all the parties is very clear. Indeed, the Chief of Staff of President Kufuor said clearly on air that he received funds from Alfred Woyome meant for the New Patriotic Party, and that he issued him with a receipt and passed on the money to the party. That was what he said. And that in addition to the money that he brought to them, he also brought a bottle of wine to him, and that he, Kojompianim, don't take wine. At the same time, we are well aware that Honorable Yao Safo received support from Alfred Woyome for his flag bearership contest, the same as Honorable Obi Amwa, the NPP MP for Ebri. So his support for all the political parties it's quite clear. It's there for anybody to see. But I am stating very clear that the NDC is determined to fight corruption and will continue to do so. Indeed, the President of the Republic, our leader, has made it very clear that corruption is mass murder. He has never on any platform sought to justify that corruption is as old as Adam, and that in doing so, he intends to justify corruption that will be committed by mankind today, that even the first man created by God himself directly could not withstand and resist corruption. President Mahama said it is mass murder. The Attorney General he has appointed has made it very clear that she is determined to fight all cases on all fronts, including retrieving monies that have been paid persons, whether they are Ghanaians or not Ghanaians, for which the Supreme Court of this land has ruled that they were not deserving of it. She will retrieve those money.
Mr. Adams, I'm not cutting in rudely.
Sorry. The ruling of the Fast Track High Court.
Sorry, Mr. Adams, if I'm cutting in rudely, but the NPP, for instance, is suggesting that government is simply refusing to go and retrieve what the court of the land has asked government to go and retrieve, the 51.2 million city judgment debt.
Komla, I wish that the money was just sitting in Woyome's bedroom, and that is how easy it is that after the ruling, you just collect the police and go that you are going to collect the money. That is, we all know that is not the way to go. You have to go through another legal process. And that has been made very clear by the Attorney General that she's pursuing and she's back in the Supreme Court to seek further directions to be able to retrieve that money. And that a lot of strides have been made in retrieving money, not only from Alfred Agbesi Woyome, but also other associated companies whose contract was declared null and void by the Supreme Court because it did not go through parliamentary approval. That has been made very, very clear, and that process is going on. You cannot just pick soldiers or police after the court has ruled and say that you are going to Woyome's home to go and collect the money. You can't do that. You have to go through a process. We are governed by a constitution and we are governed by rule of law. And you have to, I'm surprised that the very same party that believes that rule of law is what they believe in and that they must always support it. And that when people of their stock win cases, it is the triumph of rule of law. But when others do same, it is because somebody did some lax job or did not want to actually prosecute. I don't want to believe it that way. This is a government that is determined. Look, it is very clear. If you look at many cases and many situations that have come up, and we are today talking about corruption everywhere because the leadership is not going after people who report on corruption.
Right.
The leadership feel that let's talk about it. Let's make it something that people will not see as being attractive. In the past, we used to have a situation where government was protecting people who committed crimes, people who committed acts of corruption, by establishing a so-called office of accountability where they say they call people and talk to them. Who will not be happy that if he commits acts of corruption, they will just call him and talk to him? Today, that is not the case. The president says we should all talk about it. The Attorney General is determined to prosecute such cases when it comes to her attention, and she feels that she has enough evidence to fight, whether the person is on the side of governing party or not on the side of the governing party. That is what I want us to begin to look at, and then give thumbs up for this government and this party that it has stood on the provision of accountability, probity to deal with these matters. But I'm sure that many a person are learning from all these processes that some civil servants must equally be watched, because the civil servants who wrote an opinion, who had lived under the NPP administration and also went further into the NDC administration and wrote an opinion that the person was entitled to be paid what he was asking for, all these people will have to be washed.
Grateful. I'm so grateful for you speaking to us tonight. Mr. Kofi Adams is the national organizer of the ruling NDC. They're talking to me about this Woyome. We're staying right on it because the Alliance for Accountable Governance, AFAC, is back in call by Mr. Woyome for the Attorney General to step aside or resign if government intends to go ahead and appeal the ruling delivered some days ago. Now, according to the group, the demand by Woyome is legitimate because of the role the AG's law firm is alleged to have played in the payment of the infamous 51 million CD judgment. The group, which made the demands at the press conference in Accra on Tuesday, said the AG should be replaced as the state pursues the case at the appeals court. Now, the statement from the AFAC was read by the General Secretary of the group, Arnold Boateng, who stated that the AG was not committed to prosecuting the criminal charges against Woyome and accused government of shielding Woyome from being prosecuted. Mr. Woyome, don't forget, was charged for causing financial loss to the state and defrauding by false pretenses in the 51 million city judgment debt last week, and was acquitted and is charged by a court. Let's speak to the chairman of AFAC, Dr. Nana Free. He just joined me on phone. Dr. Free, grateful for you speaking to us tonight.
Yeah, great, my brother.
Why is it so key that Madam Brew Apiopong should step aside in this particular case, since the letter from Woyome seem not to really say what it means or what should be made for her to step aside?
Yeah, my brother, I mean, basically, we dwelled on a few issues that AFAC cautioned the agent's office of. And I think that the evidence is there for everybody to check on it.
What evidence are you talking about?
In time past, we had always called for, over 2 or 3 years ago, we had always called for the office of the agent to set aside the high court case before judgment with date. We also brought the 4 various other issues, as including Betty, Woods, and now Barton and the rest of them to witness in the case, which we did. And then also we raised an issue which was quite sensitive during the nomination of Marita Brew. I mean, what we said was that we remember that in the case that Little and Brew were pursuing a claim for Australian investor invest. I beg your pardon. And then we remember that Woyome team's argument was that they had already settled them. I think even before the change of government, and they even questioned why at the time they were pursuing a claim after they had gotten a judgment. We brought this to the fore, and it is there. It is there for everybody to check. That's way ago.
Dr. Free, let me cut in rudely here. So you worried, you're alleging that Madame Apiopong's stay in office could jeopardize investigations.
Absolutely, my brother. Absolutely. I mean, it is clear that there is some conflict of interest. This web, a very clear one.
But she's come out to say that the money paid from Mr. Woyome to allegedly paid to her was not received by her, but her law firm was involved in that particular transaction.
Yeah, that is one of the. So please, if you can listen to me as a lawyer, you can provide an advice. And what we are saying is that in an instance where a judgment was awarded to a person which was created, were to look from the state, I think that she had the right to have advised. If the company was not an entity which was existent at the time, she had a right to have advised. If, for instance, he had been paid earlier, and you can ask the legal team of Woyome in court, they argued that they've been paid earlier. They've settled them. They have no business to take anything from them, you know. And the point is that she was a lawyer. She could have provided legal advice.
Okay.
I mean, on both sides to have justified the fact that my brother, though you are pursuing a case, I don't think that is right. But in all this illegality, they went forward to claim what they thought was due their client. And that is where I find it as very sensitive against the state. And you find yourself prosecuting the same case in a different way. And so where is the moral will? That is the point. You understand?
Grateful.
And the other issue that we raised was the overhauling of the AG's office. We think that where a former chief state attorney, Nekwetete, was involved, the members of the AG's office had the moral will to even have set aside the case and to have even brought in their former senior colleague into the issue. And therefore, we have called for a massive overhauling of the agent's office. Something is wrong, my brother. Something is wrong.
Right. I'm so grateful to Dr. Nana Free, is the chairman of AFAG, talking to me about this particular Woyome issue.